Hello everyone, welcome to the new year. Happy New Year everybody. Oh my God, we do this every year. Happy New Year to everyone. It's a new year. Wow, we're in a new year. Well, you know, it feels like, okay, so somehow yesterday or last week or whenever you're watching this video, it was 2023. And right now, as you're watching this video, it is 2024. Like, you just think about it, like just a few days ago, right? Or was it yesterday? It was 2023 and we're in a new year. What is time exactly? Well, anyways, Happy New Year to everyone out there. Today, I'm just talking about a couple of things, you know, some of those things that come to mind when the new year starts. You know, a lot of us come in with resolutions, we come in with new plans, new goals, new expectations, new things to worry our minds about, you know, and new things to set focus on, you know, and plan for. You know, we all walk by a calendar, you know, we have this perspective of time. But, you know, today I want to talk about time in a very, very interesting way. In some way, I believe time is an illusion. And there's a reason why I look at it that way. And in this video, that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be expressing to you what I think about time, how you should use your time, what time really is and the value in it. Even as an artist, oh my God, as artist, it's the craziest thing. Really, what time is everything. It's not just, you know, that period where you go and, you know, press the shutter and take a picture. It's not just, you know, the time when you're trying to jump in to get into some role to make somebody look in a certain way or make something work. Time in itself is everything as an artist. This is what you are. You are your time. You are the time that you spend. What is time really? Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. I'll be back. Time for me is one of the most intriguing things I've ever thought about. You know, growing up here, you always ask, you know, when you go into these games and they ask you these questions like, if you have a superpower or if you ever had the opportunity to have a superpower, what would that superpower be? I remember playing those games with friends a lot, you know, and there was always one thing I always wanted. You know, everybody was, oh, I want to be able to fly, I want to be able to swim, I just wanted to, for me personally, I wanted to have the superpower to be able to move through time. Like that, I feel like that's like the most interesting adventure I can ever go on. Like, if I can move through time, I don't even have to influence the time. I just want to observe it. Like, just give me the chance to like go back to like Nigeria, like in maybe 1432 and just see what was going on, you know, that kind of thing. Now, you know all those stories that you read in books about history, Napoleon, Genghis Khan and the wars. I'll just go into the past, you know, I'll just go into those views and I'll just be watching Genghis Khan or I'll just be watching, you know, Alexander, and I'll just be watching all these guys and watch what they're doing. Like, I just want to be there and see it for myself, you know. I mean, who says I wouldn't visit the Adam and Eve story? I like to check that out. Let's see, you know. Anyway, so like time in itself is a concept that, you know, I've always been intrigued by. And I realized that it's one of the most valuable assets that exists in the world. Or I would say the most interesting matrix that we all could be living in, this concept called time. You know, it's very interesting that you as an artist, even as a photographer, time is also very important in terms of how you want to take a picture, for example, and you have this thing called a shutter speed, and it determines the time. You're trying to catch the moment, and that means bringing me to the word moment. Like, even within time, you can't capture time in all of its essence. You only pick moments in that time. You know, so as a photographer, you're capturing time in little tiny moments. You can't capture it all. Even as a video guy, you can't capture it all. You're capturing a set of moments from a specific angle, a specific perspective. And that's what time is all about. Within space and, you know, and distance, time tweaks and time changes in so many different ways. So time is something that you experience for yourself in your own moment, so to speak. So, for example, yeah, if you look at time as a concept, now in history, there's so many empires that have lasted, you know, for so many years. hundreds and 200s of years, and you're just wondering, within all of this time, where do I even sit in all of this? Imagine looking at an empire that has lasted for like 700 years, and I mean, 700 years, you know how many generations that is? And you know, there are some places that you see they're 2,000 years old worth of history, 5,000 BC worth of history. Like I've read a couple of things about the Chinese history, which they have backdated to like 5,000 BC. These times are like when you just try to quantify it in your mind. It's a long time. So for me, a lot of times as an artist, it starts to make me ask the question of myself that where do I even sit in all of this, you know, all of these things. For example, like when you, I mean, how old are you all going to live? Like maybe let's be generous to everybody, like say 150. Like even if, like, come on, even if we all lived to 150 before we died, 150 years is just very little compared to just 700 years, if you get what I mean, right? Like at the end of the day, like you can see that time becomes very vast. And the question is why, you know, sometimes I question my existence. I say, what is the point, you know, like why am I even here exactly? And you find out that, ooh, if you can be living in two places, right? You could either be living, you could even be living in three places, I would say. You could be living in the future where your brain is constantly thinking about the future, or anxious about something that is expecting, or something that is looking forward to, or something that is scared of in that future. Or the mind could easily be also living in the past, where you're looking at past events, you're, you know, reminiscing on some, you're happy about some, you're sad about some, and you continue to just live life from that. And you could also be living life in the present, where you are currently in trying to be that photographer of your own life, catching every moment as it is in the current existence of now, right? So time in itself is so many places that you can live within and live without, and really understand yourself as an artist. Now, when we talk about time, let's talk about time from a more scientific, or let me say a more agreed point of view. Currently, it's 2024. It's not necessarily 2024, it is 2024 of the Gregorian calendar. Now, a lot of people don't know that the calendar we're actually using currently is called the Gregorian calendar, that was, you know, put into use by Pope Benedict. I said Pope Benedict? Sorry, Pope Gregory the 13th, I think. You know, in October 1582, that's when this calendar was actually put into place. It was an adjustment from the former calendar the Romans were using, called the Julian calendar. Right? And this calendar adjusted for certain reasons, because it was off by a couple of days based on how the seasons and the year was really, you know, seen when you calculate the number of, you know, days and nights and moons and seasons and when they start. So they found out that this calendar wasn't really working, because it was getting off by, after a couple of years, it get off by a couple of days, and they had to adjust it, where the Gregorian started to involve things like leap year, having a leap year every 4 years. Now, this is a calendar everybody follows, 7 days a week. Like, yeah, it's a calendar, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's time, right? If they say if they ask you what the time is and you say it's 2024, is that really time, or that is time according to the Gregorian? My point here is that, like, time in itself is a value that you have and you own as whoever you are. And every other thing is just an attachment to somewhat help you think about the past, think about the future, and know exactly where you are within your own space. And that in itself is something people can get lost in. The idea of this time, okay, it's a new year, so I have to start again. This is 2024, right? I mean, this is 2024 of the Gregorian. All right, so yeah, so if you look at the Chinese New Year, it's usually like, you know, from the 21st of January towards the 20th of February, when the new moon appears from, you know, from their own observations, you know, basically. And we can look at even a lot of religions as well, and the religious calendars that somewhat fit into how the religion practices its religion and its specific days that it honors specific things. For example, if you even bring it home towards the Yoruba calendar, the Yoruba calendar also has 4 days, consisting of 4 days that are actually used to pay homage to 4 specific orishas. in the Yoruba kingdom, and they also had a second calendar that they would use to do business, which they also used to like adjust to the revolution of the earth and the moon, which had 7 days in a week. So calendars, basically just help us in some form of planning or thought process or trying to keep record of whatever it is. It doesn't necessarily govern our lives, So when those 2024 things come into play, I've tried it so many times. I mean, what I can say is that we need to learn how to use some of these things. For example, I've had times where you have this New Year resolution and you jump into the new year, and for instance, after a couple of weeks or days after that, you're already back to what you said you were not going to do. No, it doesn't really work that way. You can't just change overnight because the calendar says the days have changed. No, rather, every single thing you do happens daily. Basically, it's a daily process. So if you're going to start now, you start now. You're going to start now is the only time that exists. I mean, I feel like the present, or rather the future, and the past are somewhere you can get lost in. Right? And if you try to live more in the moment, you find out that, you can actually play within different aspects of the existence of time. Nobody says you shouldn't think about your future or your past, but don't get lost in it. And that's why time in itself, if you get lost in all of that, it becomes an illusion, basically, that you can be living inside. So one of the ways that, I tend to see this situation where you could realize that the past and the future don't exist is, imagine you having a future that you want to live in currently. Like you have an image of some specific future that you have in your mind. For example, I can see myself owning this particular thing. Let me use wristwatch as an example. You see yourself owning that wristwatch, for example. But the future that you're thinking about now is not like you're seeing yourself constantly you're seeing yourself moments in that future where you already have that wristwatch, and you can see yourself happy about that concept, right? And whatever that is in that future is still a moment in itself, that when you get to, let's assume, you get to the point where you then even actually have that wristwatch. At that point, you may not necessarily even be thinking about that situation anymore. You'll now be thinking about something else that you'll be hoping that you want to have. So somehow, even the future that you're currently stuck in your current present is a future that you most likely will get to, and you still forget to live in your current present. Your present and your future is already existing as we speak. So if you rather have the idea that you already have the wristwatch, for example, or you live in what your current reality is, your present, so that in that position you can creatively take yourself to a future which will also still be your present when you get there, and it's a moment that you continue to enjoy. Because if you get stuck in your future, you won't get to your future and still be and feel, oh yeah, I finally reached my future, because the human mind would continue to try to attain a new future, so to speak. So you have to somehow learn to live in the present. Now, as a creative, there are times when you get something, like a creative block, or there are times where your brain is just out there, you're trying to figure out why you're even doing what you're doing. Sometimes you just get tired of doing stuff like that. I think it's very important that you get to a point where you can maybe get away or take some break, where you can actually start to try and live in the present, where you're not involved with your phone, or which really cuts us from reality a lot. You're not necessarily involved with any other type of communication. It also helps, bring your mind at rest and bringing you to live in your present moment, and that helps a lot in the creative process, because when your mind is able to filter and flow easily, then a lot of ideas start to fall in and they start to play with you. So I feel it's a very important thing for us to understand what our time is as artists. And as an artist now, your time is everything. Your time is what you sell, really, in all reality. If you're doing something for someone, it's really your time, because first of all, you spent time developing that skill. You've done overnight, you've researched, you've traveled, you've used money, you've become what you've become because of your actual blood and sweat and hard work. That time is invaluable, right? It's not the time you just give to anybody who wouldn't value it. You get what I mean? At whatever level it is. So as a photographer, an artist, maybe you're even making music, whatever it is, your time is everything. That's what you sell, your appearance, your presence. That is what you sell as an artist. So your time is everything. As you develop your time, you use your time to develop yourself. Basically, your time is value for yourself. So every single thing you use your time for is something that you're using to bring value, to yourself, and you become more valuable. Sometimes I like to tell people that I just want to be paid to be alive. Like, sometimes they say, people say like things like, are we in this life to like pay bills? Like, are we just born in life to just come and pay bills? Like, why can't I just be alive for no reason at all? But anyways, I'm even just sitting on the opposite fence. I want to be paid. Like, literally, that's what it is. I'm getting paid to be alive, just to exist. And the only way you can actually just be paid to exist is when your existence is bringing value to both yourself, and your environment. So if wherever you go, there's a lot of abundance coming along with you. And what I mean is that will come through your skill, that will come through the energy you bring, your character. That will definitely show what you've been using your time to do. If you've been using your time to develop yourself in a very loving and positive way, it's only that positive energy you'll be able to give out, when you meet people and communicate with people and interact. So at the end of the day, you're an expression of your time, the energy you exude, the way things happen to you, the way you connect to people is also an expression of how you spend and how you create your time. So you yourself can be the abundance, the value that comes just by your skill, your presence, the way you talk, the way you do your things, your approach to people, your interest in helping, and so many other things that could be happening all around you. So a lot of things occur when it comes to the topic of time. It's something that I don't think I can fully talk about in one video without going on and on and on and on. But what I can tell you is that time could be an illusion, and you shouldn't get stuck in it. You should realize that you could either be living in your future, you could be living in the present, or you could be living in the past. And it's very important that as a creative, you want to be living in the present moment, because that's the time you're the most creative. You're either in survival mode most of the time. When you're living in the past, you're thinking about things that have occurred in the past and ways that you can really do to avoid those things, somehow in the future. So you're in that past set. Sometimes you may feel some form of regret, you may feel some form of guilt, you may be living in some points where you say, oh, I wish I didn't do this, or I wish I didn't do that, or why should I have done this, why shouldn't I have done that, oh, I'm glad I did. So many things like that come to your mind when you're living in the past. There's this continuous pressure. So also, if you're living in the future, so it's almost like anxious about what is to come. And if you live in those two places, your mind cannot be at rest to actually think creatively. It's like the story of the gazelle and the lion. If a gazelle is on a field eating, it's going to be, not at peace, eating grass and just digesting and just creating energy and food for itself. But once it sees a lion, it's going to change, its body's going to change mode to survival mode, and that gazelle is going to hop, jump, and get out of that situation, because it's not even going to be thinking like, oh, I need to be creative right now, I need to eat food. So as a creative, when you step out of that survival mode, so to speak, you can actually put yourself in that place of peace where you become creative, that creative state of mind, right? But the thing about humans is that, unlike the gazelle, can see when the lion is done chasing it and it feels like it's safe, it starts to go back to creative mode. But in the human sense, in the human case, we can just trigger a survival mode even just through our thoughts alone, just through our thought process. Just by thinking about the past, we can start to trigger a lot of like survival mode. Oh, this thing happened at this time, maybe I should, and you start to think, oh my God, what should I do? Maybe I should don't do this, maybe I should have done that. Okay, so in the future I should do this. And then you keep flipping, it's in the past and the future and the past and the future, and you almost cannot even sit in one place. It's like your mind is so busy, it's like you can't even really settle down, right? That is where you need to understand that, yeah, that's where you might just be going through a lot of stress and a lot of mind-boggling disturbance. Because once your mind is not at rest, come on, how can you create stuff, right? So that is where you have to work on bringing your mind to the present moment, bringing your mind to somewhere where you can focus on and be in the happening of now. Like whatever is happening right now in this particular moment, you could, focus on everything happening around you. Try to become observant of every single thing you can hear in your environment. Maybe cars passing, the birds, the AC, the clock ticking. Like you have to somehow bring yourself down back to this moment in time and understand that the only time that exists is now, this very moment. As you're even watching this video right now, as those seconds are ticking, that moment, this moment that we're currently sharing is currently the real time that exists right now. And once it's done, and you're moving on. Whatever your perception is, whatever your perspective is your own time, and it's for you to create. You actually have the power to actually create and create what you're going to use that time for. Imagine being an artist. Imagine being the gallery manager of your own mind's gallery, where you can actually create the kind of things you consume, the type of stuff that comes into your mind, the type of thoughts, the type of, it's like this big gallery of life that you can actually live, and you create like the best memories. And the way to create the best memories is, to start to live in the present moment, start to appreciate the things around you, like look at the flowers, observe them, see them grow every day, appreciate the birds that are flying in the sky, appreciate the fact that you actually even woke up, like you woke up right and you started breathing and you could feel yourself breathe. Now it's a very beautiful feeling, right? And those are those times where the best ideas come to your mind. It's not even like you're trying to look for ideas, but it's when your mind is able to settle and come in the present moment. You're able to constantly put yourself in a place where your body's at peace and it has time to actually focus on other things about developing you, rather than managing stress or managing headache or managing anxiety or managing anxiety, because you've been thinking about something like you need to let your mind become at peace, right? So that you can actually create a lot of stuff. So yeah, time is a very interesting concept, and I think it's something that we need to look at every single time. Understand that every single day is actually a new opportunity for you to create the life that you actually love. So it doesn't really matter, like don't get yourself so pressured up, like, oh, what am I doing in this 2024? Yes, you should actually have goals of things that maybe you want to achieve across a period of time. Whatever calendar you want to use or whatever way you want to measure that time is up to you, right? But yeah, it is good you have goals that you can set your mind to. But one thing that you have to understand mostly is that every single day is a new opportunity. Every single day. So when you have that great goal to achieve and you break it down to these single days, you have to conquer all these days consistently. And when you conquer your day consistently, it makes the larger goal seem like a very small goal, because you're just not really necessarily about the goal anymore. Now, in terms of when you're not about the goal anymore, it's also that the goal has become something that you're not necessarily focused on anymore. You're focused on the daily process, which is making you focus on the moment in the now. Now, if you have thought of the goal as the final product, that okay, when I achieve this goal I'll be happy, or when I achieve this goal I'll be fine, you find out that no, there's nothing like when you achieve, because when you achieve that goal, you will still not be fine. You will still be wanting something else that will make you fine when you achieve that goal. The only way to be fine is to be fine in the present moment that you are right now. And if you're able to be fine in every now that you find yourself in, you'll see that you go through the process of achieving that goal, and you will still enjoy that goal when you get there, and even when you aim for even higher goals than that one. So think about it that way. Set your goals, but know that your daily process, your daily habits, very basic, simple things are the things that matter. What you do when you wake up in the morning, the first 10 things you do when you wake up in the morning, the way you spend your days, the way you spend your time in every single day. Not every single day has to, pressure. Like, you don't have to pressure yourself. You just have to be aware, decide. Now, your day shouldn't be something that just passes by you. If you decide not to do anything today, let that be your decision, and be aware that I decided that, okay, this is how I want to spend my day, right? And if you're going to do the next day, decide by yourself. Don't let the fate just make it happen for you. So time is a very interesting concept that I will still be talking about. Actually, if you want me to talk about it, like this video and subscribe to this channel, because I will be talking about this topic a lot more. All I just know is that take your time seriously and take your time with fun, no pressure. understand that every moment matters for you, and everybody's fighting for attention. Everybody is fighting for your attention. Instagram is fighting for your attention. Football is fighting for your attention. The news is fighting for your attention. The media, everybody, Netflix is fighting for your attention. Everybody, even YouTube, even I am right now. So how you even, who and what you give your attention is something you should decide, and don't let fate or algorithms just, make that happen for you. So all I'm saying is that as you're entering this new, amazing, magnificent 2024 Gregorian year, okay, so there was this video I saw one time where, because the Mayan calendar has, I think 13 days in 20 periods, like it's a 260-day calendar anyways. So with the way the calendar was calculated, if it was calculated properly, they're saying that the Mayan calendar that's supposed to end 2012 actually matches with the Gregorian 2020, which almost seemed like, yeah, the world actually did end in 2020 and a new world started. I don't know if that's like a coincidence or whatever, or maybe the research is just wrong, but all I'm just saying is calendars obviously match up on different times and different dates because they don't have the same number of days within. So you can imagine that, yes, some days will fall on some other days. And in this particular one, that's a very, very interesting coincidence. Very interesting one. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this story today, if you enjoyed all I've said today, please, I want you to like, comment, share this video, and turn on the post notification button so you can get notified when I drop videos every week in this coming weeks, in this coming new Gregorian year. I'm going to be sharing with you guys a lot more interesting topics as regards, how I spend my time and what I do, photography-wise and art-wise. And this year, I'm going to be introducing a new aspect to the channel. Watch out for that. Very soon, you shall see something new. Expect it, yeah. And I mean, a lot of stuff I'm preparing for you guys this year. So just let me know what you love. Let me know in the comments how you want to listen, or rather, what kind of things that you want to watch. See you guys next week. My name is Ibukun Williams. Bye. Peace.